Caves are fascinating places, magical and primeval. They lure you in with the offer of a physical challenge and the promise of discovery. I started caving as a boy in the Scouts, and straight away I found that combination absolutely intoxicating. Some caves are huge, such as Deer Cave, found in the Mulu National Park in Malaysia, where you can literally park a fleet of jumbo jets at the bottom. Others are much smaller and perhaps squalid. But all present a unique challenge, and each has their own character and beauty. Caves are formed by running water, and so inevitably many have sections of completely flooded passage where the water reaches the roof. We call these sumps. This photo is a particularly enticing and beautiful sump pool in a cave in Mexico. The passage doesn't end here, it just submerges, but for most cavers this is as far as they can go. This is the end of their journey and they have to turn around and head for the surface. For a small group, the cave divers, the adventure and exploration is just beginning. My introduction to cave diving was once again in the Scouts, where on one particular trip under the Somerset Hills we arrived at this section of flooded cave passage. The leader at the time made a point of telling our small group of boys how difficult it would be to continue. He listed all the problems and then went as far as to say that it was virtually impossible to pass this section of flooded cave. And although I didn't possess the skills or the understanding at the time, with youthful enthusiasm, I simply couldn't see a reason why not. For me, the challenge of the impossible had become like a red rag to a bull, and for most of my life now, when I'm faced with a problem, rather than dwell on the difficulties, I try and think about the outcome that I need, and I ask myself, why not? Fast forward a number of years as my caving and cave diving career progressed, I visited many of the known caves throughout the world, caves that have been mapped and explored by others. And I became at first interested and then initially very focused on cave exploration, finding, documenting and mapping new cave for myself. Almost by accident I found myself at the forefront of that activity. I seemed to have an aptitude for developing the procedures and building the equipment needed to go further than anyone had been before. It's an absolute honour and a privilege to surface from a flooded tunnel into a cave that has never been seen before. It's not even seen light, let alone a human footprint. Cave diving is not for the faint-hearted. You're underwater, so you have to take with you equipment so that you can breathe. But unlike the diving you might do on holiday where you have a nice time in the ocean, with cave diving you can't simply ascend to the surface because you have a rock ceiling above your head. That ceiling can sometimes be many hundreds of meters of rock. The water that you're diving in is often turbid, so turbid that you often literally can't see your hand in front of your face. It's also very cold, sometimes just a couple of degrees above zero, and so staying warm is really a problem. Caves have a habit of going deep, so as well as the diving, decompression sickness or the bends is an ever-present danger. It might seem strange having listed all these hazards, but I would characterise myself as risk-averse. I genuinely believe that those risks, and many that we face in both our personal and professional lives, can be managed through preparedness and awareness. Cave divers have often been described as frustrated astronauts, and whilst I'm not sure that comparison truly holds, when things are going well, the water is clear and the cave pastures are large, hopefully you can see the likeness to flying. Here you see a dive in a cave in northern Spain, Pozo Azul, where along with my dive partner Rick Stanton, we set successive world records for the longest cave dive, well over 10 kilometres through the flooded pastures that you see here. All of our equipment is custom made. tailored for the exceptional duration and distance that we have to travel through these flooded tunnels, designed specifically to address the challenges presented by this cave. Our objective, however, is to pass these flooded sections, remove our equipment, return to being dry cavers, and to explore and map the passages that lie beyond. Closer to home, back under the Somerset Hills, Wookey Hole is the birthplace of cave diving. Once again, with my dive partner Rick Stanton, we were able to apply the same techniques that we'd used in the larger, clearer caves that you tend to find abroad, and adapt them to the much smaller, muddier caves of the UK. The visibility of Wookey Hole is often so poor, you literally have to feel your way through the passage, feel your way along the cave wall to actually make any progress. You can't see your hands, sometimes you can't even see the lights that you have attached to your helmet. Wookey Hole has been the scene of a number of technical advances over the years, and the end of the cave was a notoriously tight squeeze where, at over 60 metres depth underwater, the rock roof dips to within 6 inches of the gravel floor. Once again, by adapting our equipment and techniques, Rick and I were able to pass this obstacle. We were able to remove some of our equipment, push it in front of us, and literally plough through the gravel a body-sized tube so that we could force our way through this restriction to explore the pastures beyond. Cave diving might seem like an adrenaline sport, but really, if you're feeling any adrenaline at any moment, you're absolutely doing it wrong. This video gives a sense of what underwater caves in the UK look like. You can get a sense of how small they can be, although the visibility here is relatively good. But it's not until you turn the camera around that the scale becomes apparent. These tubes really are body-sized, and there's a very real chance of getting stuck. World records or depth records are completely incidental to me. It's the discovery and exploration that drives me. And it was this experience in a variety of conditions, solving the problems that each and every cave presented, that inevitably led me to being involved in a growing list of caving and cave diving rescues, and sadly sometimes body recoveries around the world. I felt a strong sense of responsibility to our small but growing cave diving community, and offering help to others when they needed it seemed to me to be the right thing to do.